We're a vibrant, suburban congregation, kind of a medium-sized church. There was a lot of discussion about our building needing some updating. You know, it was built in the 1950s as the church was growing and expanding, and our parish hall in particular had not had anything done to it since 1956. It looked the original cinder block walls and linoleum tile, and you know, our Sunday school was expanding and needing some more space, and we also felt like this is such a warm and welcoming community, but we have our coffee hour in this space that was just really cold and bare, and we felt like it didn't really reflect the personality of our congregation, or wasn't welcoming to, you know, to potential new members. So we started to think about, well, what would it look like if we did something to our hall, which is sort of the living room, the family room of our church. And had a lot of conversations with that, talked to all the different groups that use the hall. We host a lot of AA groups and widow support group and all these different organizations. And at the same time, we were being led into ministry with some homeless families that were being housed by the state in our community. So we were having play groups for the kids from those families in transition. We were having dinners for them and so on in this hall, and we felt like, you know, we weren't being very good hosts because it was kind of ugly. So we realized, of course, that we needed a capital campaign to raise the funds to do the renovation. And we interviewed several different potential consultants, but we really felt that Leslie Pendleton from ECF was just the right fit for us. She really got us. She really understood the culture of our community, and you know, had that Episcopal ethos and vibe. You know, the campaign was immensely successful. We came in over our goal was $800,000, and we came in a little over $900,000. And it, you know, it just went like clockwork. So with that, we were able to renovate the hall. And as we were doing the renovation, the sort of ministry that we were working with the homeless families started to morph into something different. The state had moved some of those families to other towns, but meanwhile we had learned that there was a real need in our community through doing this ministry for a hot meal for people in need. Not just those who maybe can't, you know, or have food security issues, but also elders who need companionship. That there were a lot of people who may not be homeless in our town, but still were our neighbors who needed help. So in doing the renovation, we got the inspiration to start hosting a weekly community meal for our town. And that started about a year ago. I think the first night we probably had, 25 or 30 guests, and now we have 75 to 80 every Wednesday night. And we opened it up as not just members of our church being the cooks and the servers and the hosts, but we really wanted to invite the whole community to participate. So it's an interfaith, and more, those of no faith are all welcome to volunteer. And it's great to connect with other faith communities in our town through this project, and also those who might be looking for a church or, wanting an opportunity to volunteer.
We started Lexington together. It's about 18 months old. We started with our first meals in October 2015, and it had been in planning for about 9 months as we tried to figure out what the need was and how we could fill it. And how we saw the need is that there are many people in Lexington, which is a well-to-do community, but which still masks the fact that there are quite a number of people who are struggling in one way or another. And we've felt that offering a regular community meal for people who would benefit from having that meal, and particularly a meal in a comfortable and dignified setting. That this could be a good way to address the food insecurity issue that's around us.
Treating our guests as if they're, having the highest level of hospitality was a really important value to us all along, and was part of the reason why we did the renovation at all, right? Because, if our original impetus was that even our guests at coffee hour or visitors to our church would be welcomed into a space that's really welcoming, and really says you have a home here and you're welcome here. And actually the sort of motto for our capital campaign was room for the spirit, room for all. So that kind of spirit carried through into the beginning of the community meal, and really, watching how other programs did it and modeling ourselves on the best practices of some other programs to really have it be a situation where people really feel like it's fine dining, that the tables are beautifully set, that there's fresh flowers on the table every week. It's not a buffet line. It's you sit at the table and you're served like in a restaurant. You can ask for what there might be different menu choices that you can ask your server for. And then for dessert, they're all on a dessert trolley that's brought around, and you can pick what you want, or maybe you want more than one dessert. And so people feel really valued. I think we really want to show God's love to people, and that we love and value them. I think we do that by serving them in a way with hospitality and dignity.
So the idea is to kind of extend a very strong welcome and an invitation to be part of this community, and I feel like many of our guests really feel they belong here in a particularly gratifying way.
Yeah, so the way they designed the space was that all along both sides of the room there are these built-in cabinets and these really well-designed carts that the food pantry can come in a couple of hours on Friday and load those up, and then wheel them, and they're completely invisible, and so we can, I think it helps the food pantry for sure, and those folks do a ton of work as well. And it also allows us to use the space on Friday nights for all sorts of parish events, and so that's a win-win for us.
I think we learned a lot from Leslie, our consultant, in that process, because certain parts of the capital camp process, it was my first time doing one as a rector, and some of the things I was like, really, we have to do that? And Leslie's like, oh, we're doing this. And one of those was the celebration kickoff dinner. I was sort of skeptical. I thought, well, why do we have church potlucks all the time. Why do we need to have a special dinner to kick off the campaign? And that was like at the end of the silent phase, to announce how much we'd collected in the silent phase and to carry us through to the end. Well, I could not have been more wrong. That event was so important in the life of our parish and in our sense of community. There was such a sense of celebration about it, even though it was sort of like the official start of the campaign, because we had actually gotten about 2/3 of the way, or maybe even more, towards our goal before in the silent phase. So we were able to announce that I think we had reached $500,000 or $600,000 by that point of our $800,000 goal. And so everyone was like, "Whoa, you mean we did that?" And they were so proud of themselves. And it was such a party and such a celebration. There was such a great spirit at that. We had like a band and dancing and dinner, that it really, at that point, if you weren't participating in the campaign, you kind of felt like you were left out of, like, oh, I want to be part of that, So it really gave us the spirit and the energy to carry through a very successful campaign.